Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Here we go. Wrong microphone was selected. Thank you, voice behind the door. All right. I guess I better start that again. G'day, freedom lovers. How are we all today? Apologies for, not being able to get stuff done the last couple of weeks. Things have been pretty hectic. We've got a lot going on. We're looking into a great many different things. My original guest kind of was unavailable this week, but fortunately we've got a few extras to come in. And geez, isn't it cold lately? Thank God for global warming. I tell you what, I'd be bloody stuffed if it wasn't for global warming keeping me warm. Sips. I hope you got your favourite beverage going. Perhaps ice in my drink's probably not the best thing. Maybe I need something a little bit warmer. Hey, that still comes up small. So I'm trying to get this logo thing happening in the corner here. It's there. But it's just not quite the size I'd like, which is kind of why I was doing it this way, which gives me the size I'd like, or even this way. But every time I bring another image up, it disappears. It kind of makes life a bit hard. But yeah, trying to get this one to fit the way I want it to. Just that one. Yeah, it's all right. So, anyway, it is what it is. That's something else. So, here in Townsville, which is where we're going to start. We're going to start with some Townsvillian stuff. Obviously, we all know about the mayor, which led to this. I had to give these guys Fellow of the Month. Like, it's not every day you catch the media with their pants down, their cock in their hand, looking like complete idiots. And we managed to achieve that here at the North Queensland Freedom Network by getting, who I can never remember the dipshit's name from Channel 10. So I just call him the couch potato conspiracy theorist because he looks kind of like a potato stuffed into a suit to start with. But, his first imagery of, attempting to sort of have a go at me, very poor, mind you, was him sitting on a couch, thinking he was king shit, right as I laughed in his face and told him to go and do some research, which he failed to do, and consequently made himself a conspiracy theorist. But I think his first mistake was listening to that bloody dropkick from the Townsville Bulletin. What's that dropkick's name again? Cameron Bates, that's right. Mr. Conspiracy Theorist himself, who, managed to, write what could only be perceived as a tabloid kind of article. Like, I found this UFO magazine in the 90s in a bargain bin out front of the news agents, and it was a buck. I thought, well, I can lash out a whole buck on this, UFO magazine. And I must say the articles in that magazine were written better than what Cameron Bates wrote about Troy Thompson being blackboard. The funniest shit I have ever seen. But anyway, or maybe not the funniest, but it's definitely right up there as one of the funniest things I've seen. So, in honor of their stupidity, we will be releasing a line of merchandise. I was having a yarn with Michael from Cafe Lockdown, who we're affiliated with, and we are very close to setting up a proper web page with a proper store where you'll be able to purchase your very own I Am Blackboard t-shirt to keep everyone reminded of the conspiracy theories conjured up by mainstream media when they themselves don't have the information. I must say, keeping them in the dark is just so much fun. So let's play on them a little bit more. Let's keep going. And, I think considering these reporters, the kind of malicious assholes who wanted to remove Troy from, the mayoral position and feel that he should lose his job, perhaps a bit of just desserts is in order. Perhaps, I don't know, maybe if enough people contacted the Townsville Bulletin pointing out that Cameron Bates is a conspiracy theorist, he might lose his job. And perhaps the same for the couch potato on Channel 10. Like, wouldn't that be an interesting sort of twist and turn of events if, reporters lost their jobs for being conspiracy theorists? That would be funny, wouldn't it? Anyway, I don't wish ill on other people. Hopefully they'll come to their own reckoning and realization, and perhaps apologize for the stupidity. I don't know about Couch Potato. He doubled down on his stupidity with the second article. But, for those of you who are new and unaware of this, go and have a look at the Troy Thompson conspiracy theory video where I outline exactly how stupid their entire argument is. And just how little research goes into the mainstream media. Because had they just taken a little bit of time, they would have realised Blackboard's an Indigenous fella. And, not only did they make themselves out to be conspiracy theorists, but they insulted the Indigenous community as well, which I think is pretty disgraceful, considering these guys are usually left-tard, gong-banging wankers who'd probably go around, saying, oh, I love the Aboriginal people, but know nothing about them, Anyway, here's some comments. It's me, fool. G'day, how you going? Grand Rising Truth Warriors. I like that. Nice. Marianne Hagewood. Yeah, I'm guessing I spelled that right. Good morning from the Netherlands. G'day, how you going? Good to see that the North Queensland Freedom Network is putting Townsville on the map. I think there's a lot of people in Australia who didn't even know where Townsville was, but thanks to North Queensland Freedom Network, we are going global. Sips Batty to start off the evening for you, mate. Rachel, g'day, afternoon all. Nice to see you again. It's nice to see you too, Rachel. G'day, David. How are you going? No sound yet. Glad we got that sorted. I'm still not sure. I'm guessing XI from my, understanding of the Chinese. That's how you pronounce the XI part anyway. Yeah, we got that. Better now. Awesome. G'day, Clark. How are you, mate? Hey, Pam, how are you? Annie V, I haven't seen that one before. Maybe, is that how we're going to pronounce it? Or Annie V 2310? Have you come from the future? Are you from 2310? Did things work out all right? Let me know. Bit nippy. I know. Like I said, thank God for global warming. Particularly for the Southerners, it might come as a shock, but, it was 15 degrees the other morning, and you should have seen all the Townsville run around in fucking beanies, hoodies, all rugged up, screaming about how cold it is. It's a sight to be seen for Southerners. I did it too. I can't just say, like everybody else. I tell you, I acclimatized very quickly when I moved to Townsville. I feel as though, I was meant to be here, that's for sure. Got a green tee, nice. Love my t-shirt. It's actually a thin jumper, to keep me warm on these global warming nights. Thank God. I mean, and we've got the sugarcane burning as well, so all that extra carbon going into the atmosphere from all the sugarcane fires and whatnot. Wow, where would I be without that? We'd be straight in the middle of an ice age, I reckon. 3 dogs. It was 3.6 in air this morning. Oh, it's truth. And you got all that extra carbon from them fires. I was going through air the other day, and I seen the Burdekin snow was going. For those of you who don't know what the Burdekin snow is, that's when they set the cane fires alight, right? And bits of leaf foliage burning, black foliage falls like snow throughout the town. It's wonderful, I don't know how you guys in air put up with it. It'd drive me nuts. But anyway, didn't have your volume up. It wasn't just me. That's good. Yeah, Alexander, how you going? Eyes of the Tiger. Eye of the Tiger. Cool. Don't you hate the way some of those letters, like S and that, are so close to each other? Yeah, spell checkers never seem to realize that's why you misspelt a word. You think they'd be an algorithmic situation, where they identify letters being close to, the right one or something. I don't know. Maybe I need to work on the team for spell checkers. So I suck at spelling bad enough. I'm surely I could give them some pointers on how to get them spell checkers to work a little bit better. Can my background crew perhaps give Alan a bit of a prod? And get him going, because Alan's one of our guests who's going to tell us a little bit more about why our Townsville City Council decided in their infinite wisdom. So obviously backstory, for those who are not aware, Troy Thompson, as the besieged mayor, as the lamestream media continuously points out, and only because they have committed, such a siege upon him. That's why that's happening. But, why because he said a few things that weren't quite accurate, And I'm still waiting for the opportunity for him to come onto the channel and, have a yarn and explain, what was going on. But I believe because of the constant assault by not only the mainstream media, but, the other councillors as well, which is really very unprofessional, has sort of made things a little bit hard in that regard, I believe. So, one day, maybe one of these days he'll come. It's Trump. That's it. We had, I confess, Blackboard was actually Donald Trump. That's it. You got me. Well done, Daryl. An award goes to you. You get an extra special gold T-shirt saying "I'm Donald Trump." North Queensland Freedom Network. The Cane Fires are an amazing sight. Yes, they are an amazing sight at night, actually. Really good to see. Another reason to come for the tourism. But, one reason to not come for the tourism is because of the parking meters. That is the story of the week here in Townsville. That it would seem that Team Jenny Hill and Jenny Hill have made such a mess of the budget last year. They have left the council with bugger all money, a horrific budget plan, and obviously their plan to fix their monumental mistake was to add parking meters along wonderful places such as the Strand, a wonderful place where, families would go and take their kids to the water park and all that. And now they're going to put 2-hour parking zones in and force you every 2 hours to go back to your car and move to another parking zone. Clearly, these people have no comprehension of how easy it is to get a young child to get up from from the water park and move. Was any thought put into this, or was it just, hang on, what's the best way to be a totalitarian dictator? Quick, consult my SS manual. Oh yeah, parking meters is a great way to start. Yep. Fucking assholes. But of course, led by Team Jenny Hill remnants, such as Susie Batkovic and Anne-Marie Greenie and Liam Mooney. We all know what we think of these cockheads. So, actions speak louder than words, I guess, is the moral of the story here. And, although Troy had put a few words wrong, he certainly put his actions to pass with the council, where he voted against the meters. While everybody's hating on him, he voted to keep those meters out. While Susie Batkovic, Anne-Marie Greenie, Liam Mooney, Brady Ellis, Brodie Phillips, and Andrew Robinson all voted for you to pay more because you're not hurting enough under a shitty Labor government. You are not paying enough taxes. We need to milk you more. How kind of them. But anyway, I'm still waiting on Alan to pop in. If I could get some kind of an indication from the other side of the walls here as to what's going on. G'day, Tooney, how are ya? So I must say, I'm not exactly surprised, because if you go back to previous podcasts, one of the questions I asked was to write to these knob jockeys and ask them if they have indeed got plans to put more parking meters in, because it was such a successful idea, and when they did it in the city, thus crippling all the businesses and all that sort of stuff, people just don't go there anymore. Don't say I blame them. I have to wonder how all the businesses along the Strand intend to fare. I mean, Townsvillians don't want to pay for parking. We'll avoid it like the friggin' plague. And to top it off, there'll be no cash. You'll have to download some stupid friggin' app. Guess you'll learn, because that's the kind of people these are. These people are supposed to be there to represent you, but it seems they're more inclined to dictate terms to you. I'm getting an indication. Technical support needs technical support.
Yeah, Alan, your link that you sent in is asking for a password. Can you just resend the link or something?
I'll resend the link. Something's not going right. Yeah. All right, so we're having some trouble with our guest here. For some reason, he shouldn't be getting a password selection. Let's try this again. Let's paste that. Sorry, guys. I was hoping to test this a little bit earlier, but we were somewhat inconvenienced by time. The god Kronos has been unkind to us today. Kronos is the god of time, for those who are wondering. It's the same link. It should be working, buddy. get him to give that a crack. See how that's going, guys. So yeah, a little bit of is it Greek mythology? Yeah, Chronos, as in chronology, time. It's interesting. Actually, something popped in my head. The idea of time. The other day I was talking about how things are a little bit askew. You got men's time. Which you can set by the god Chronos. It's pretty reliable 9 times out of 10. You can set your watch by it. Then you got woman's time, which is a little bit variable sometimes. It's like, hey, just 5 minutes, love, and 2 hours go past. You're still sitting out front of the department store wondering how much money you've got left. Many a time you sit on the bench out front, of a shop, having a yarn to some old fella. Yeah, just waiting on the missus. Oh, yeah, right. I know what that's like. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, brother. You'll be right. We'll get through it. But then there's my friend Strawny. Great bloke, love him to death. He's actually helped me out, get me a new sound card, which is really good because mine shit itself. It's a $2,000 unit. So there's another problem I didn't need. As long as my hot water service has died, we just replaced the washing machine. It's all happening. It's so much fun. I highly recommend it. And now parking meters on top of it. Thanks, guys. But all that aside, Strawny operates on Strawn time, which is a whole nother thing. Like that's like a temporal pocket shoved into a alternate universe and shut out the other end of a god situation of some sort. It's almost biblical. The way time works completely different for Strawn. But to his credit, this time things didn't operate on Strawn time. Thank you heaps, Strawny. He got that shit sorted out and delivered to the appropriate people who will be delivering it to me very shortly, and I can get back to writing some tunes because, man, I've been working on some stuff. Well, rekindling stuff and getting these fingers moving because, needed to put a bit of oil in these joints and get them moving. It's been a little while. Get the fingers moving so we can play it. Download app, it says. No, Alan, you shouldn't have to download no app. Copy link, paste in browser. Unless things have changed. Technical issues. It's all happening. It's all happening. It's all happening. But how have you guys been? Maybe we'll just bring Tracy in for the time being. Is that a go, Trace? Oh, sorry, Tracy. Because these lovely people were actually there. Actually, you can bring yourself in, I believe. Can you? Can't remember. You guys have administrative access. So if you're ready, Trace, just bring yourself in. If one of my tech support crew can get that going. I've got another idea, actually. I'm going to send that link to one of my tech support crew people out there and see what you can get going, mate. That's one of them. I might send another one to another tech support crew just in case that one doesn't get it. It happens all the time, Go back to get it seems to have fallen into some time vortex. I know, but what happens for me is I put something down and I can't find it. It only reappears back into this temporal pocket of reality or this timeline or whatever when I say, "Have you seen?" Oh, there it is. I have to actually physically say it. If I don't physically say it, then it just will not appear. It's weird shit, Hey, Karen, how you going? Rub liquid magnesium on your fingers. Great stuff. Well, it's actually from lack of practice. I have to say, I've been working too hard on so many other things that I've actually neglected my guitar playing, and that's my big problem. I've actually got to kind of, it's like you don't go to the gym enough, and you get lazy and fat, which has kind of happened to me a bit too. We'll get there. But thanks anyway. I might give that a go. It might actually help get things going again. So, how's my tech support crew going out there? Because this is not how I envisioned the first 20 minutes of this show going. We need some stuff going. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a new Patreon the other day. If you want to become a Patreon, I'd greatly appreciate it. With enough Patreons, we can make the world go around a little bit more. So big shout out to Jeannie, to Lee, to Jennifer, to Gaza. Actually, I'd like to point out, Jennifer, I'm not sure if you're aware, but you only did 1 month, which is cool. That's all you wanted to do. That's fine. I just wasn't sure if you were aware of that situation, but thank you anyway. Good old Mark Howard, great bloke. Carla, Karina, Ruben. And Terrence is one of our new ones. He popped in last month. Thanks heaps, Terrence, for being awesome and jumping in. And Grizz. Big shout out to Grizz, who is our latest and number 10 of the Patreons. So, imagine if there was enough Patreons that I could actually spend enough time having checked all this tech support shit out before the show. A little bit of financial help is always good. And, of course, I had another lady who popped in. Where is it? It was to the Indigenous video who sent us Carol. So very, very big thanks to Carol for dropping a couple of bucks into that. I was actually out on country with brother Earl recently, who showed me the art of divination, which was really cool. And I had a bit of a crack at it myself. And you see old mate out there with the sticks in his hands, sort of thing. And here's a couple I prepared earlier. And they're actually kind of bent. They've got like this kind of a 7 shape to them, and you hold the little things out like so, and just for the artistic representation, and old mate's walking around and things are moving like that, and he's doing that himself, surely that's what's going on. So come on, give me a crack, I've got to do this, and next thing I know, yeah, cool, look at me, I'm so hopeless, I can't even find water, and all of a sudden, zoop, what the fuck? Checking phone, tech support, whilst live on air, unsupported browser. Get him to use a different browser. Oh, he's using Apple. Fucking crapple.
Yeah.
Fucking crapple. That's the problem. Well, I guess you'll have to tell him to download the app then, I guess, if that's what's got to work. I don't do crapple, because nothing works with crapple.
We're just informing you that's what we're trying to deal with.
Well, I think we'll have to get Trace on. If Zach or one of the other tech support crew out there can sort out that problem with Alan, that would be really good. Turns out it's not as simple as I thought. Obviously, I needed to test these things on the Apple crew as well. I just don't play with Crapple. I've always thought Crapple was the perfect name for it. But anyway, this is Cafe Locked Out. Go and check that out too. That's where the music, once I get it going, is going to go. I'm going to be putting some tunes out there on the cafelockedout.com page under culture, where all the culture artists are doing. You can support some amazing Australian artists by going to that. We're also talking about doing a Cafe Locked Out telethon sort of scenario to try and raise some funds to get some stuff done, because we're all going on a shoestring budget, and I know we all are. We're such lovely people, like our dog shit counsellors coming along and trying to continuously increase the cost of living for us, because they're such kind and compassionate dictators. I guess their association with socialist workers' parties has really paid off in the manner in which they've evolved to such low life creatures, or de-evolved perhaps. Honestly, I seen a cockroach the other day, and I think it had more evolutionary status than some of the politicians we have in this country, particularly those in the Labor Party. And I don't want to start, saying that I support the Liberal Party either by any means. As George Christensen said, as he exited the Liberal Party and moved to One Nation. And again, go back through the things. You can actually check out that interview I did with George Christensen from way back. I think it was probably about 2 years ago. Yeah, it would have been about 2 years ago. So you can go back and have a look at that, where he himself says, right now, but when it comes down to Labor and Liberal, we have a choice. Labor, being full-blown socialism, get your swastikas out, and socialism light, as he called it. Like, we're not quite ready to start burning books and shit, but we're thinking about it, you know? So that's kind of the way I look at the situation. Is liberal the lesser of two evils? I don't know. Like, I think evil's just fucking evil myself. But, you know, you never know. There might be hope. Perhaps we can get Senator Rennick to run the whole party and revamp the whole thing, because I think he's the best thing that's happened to friggin' the Liberal Party in a long friggin' time. But as I understand it, they giving him the old heave-ho for being too good and pointing out all the problems. But anyway, are you ready, Tracy? Because we're running out of time. We've got an extra guest, as you've probably guessed coming in, Skye Marissa-Rose. Who's going to talk a little bit about her movement with the Living Free Festival. We do need to get going, guys, because we're running out of time. So I hear laughing out there. This is not helping. I need a guest. Come on. Sips. Sounds like she's on the phone. So, I would have had things prepared, but, you know, I wasn't expecting all this. Maybe we can do a bit of a recap, people. We can do a little bit of a recap. You know, actually, here's a good one. I like this. When I think of the greenies, you know, and not Anne Marie Greenie, she's even lower than a normal greenie. That's a horrible, disgusting excuse for a human being. But we'll come to that soon enough. This is what I think of when I think of the way the greenies love the environment.
Little bat, welcome to your new happy home. Come out wherever you are. Oh, he's asleep. Hey, bat! Hi, don't worry. Even if you are funny looking, I'll still love you and hug you and squeeze you all to bits.
I'll tell you what, up in North Queensland, that's how much the greenies are loving our environment at the moment. But it looks like Alan's finally sorted his shit out. G'day, Alan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
That was supposed to be really easy. What the hell happened? Yeah, I could hear you good, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, a few Apple technical issues there, so I borrowed someone else's phone.
Bloody crapple, man. Bloody crapple. So, is Tracy ready to join the fun here as well? Can we get Blackboard? Tracy, are you ready? You want 0 tolerance, non-compliance. Yep, cool, man. So anyway, Alan, while they're sorting out their technical difficulties, by the way, here we go. We're all happening now. Zero has come to join. You know, there's some more mysteries with no face. Oh no! Well, what kind of conspiracy theories is Channel 10 and the Townsville Bulletin going to come up with this time?
Well, someone forgot to put my name in.
I tell you what, I need a new tech support crew. This is unacceptable. Anyway, Zero, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. We're still trying to sort this out. Yeah,
it's all right. I think we'll leave Zero up there just to annoy the Townsville Bulletin and Channel 10.
Okay.
Oh God.
But you can change it if you really want. It's up to you lot. You know. But anyway.
Zach was just trying to do that when you said, "Don't worry about it."
It's all good. It's no major show. I think you actually have to exit out and come back in, to be honest. I believe that's how it works. No, you don't. Mr. Tech Support out there, he's got it all sorted. All right, then prove me wrong, Mr. Tech Support. I'm happy to see it. Look out. It's Troy Thompson, says Tiffany. It's never going to get old. We've got to rub this into the Townsville Bulletin's face at every opportunity. And once we get those I Am Blackboard t-shirts out, I want to get as many people out front of the Townsville Bulletin as possible, and we have a huge happy snap. And every time they post an article on Facebook, we hammer them with that photo.
Yep.
So anyway, Liberal is just as disgusting as Labor. Two cheeks of the same ass. That's right. That's right. They are two cheeks of the same ass. That's for sure. The new blackboard. The new blackboard. So anyway, let's get a move along because we are like half an hour behind schedule now. So Alan, mate, you were down there at the council. What are you guys doing out there? It sounds like a train's just going through the joint. That's some bad noise. Anyway, Alan, tell me, mate, what did you see down at the Townsville Council meeting the other day where they all decided to, well, not all, six of them decided to shaft the entire Townsville population?
Yeah, so it was more of the same rhetoric there. They continued that they were transparent and accountable and all that sort of rubbish. But Troy Thompson had the Merrill minute there where he wanted to discontinue the meters whole as bowlers. That was defeated. Only Kirk Rainbine and Christian Price had the guts to vote with Troy on that. And then there was a Kirk Rainbine motion where the meters would be put on hold. And there'd be actually public consultation this time. And then that one was voted down. So that was, I noted that was voted down by Brady Ellis, the Division 10 councillor. He's a bloke that I actually voted for. So I'm very disappointed. And he was the one that was banging on about transparency and accountability. And here they're voting for no public consultation on the meters. So I don't understand what their definition of openness and transparency is, because it's certainly not mine.
Yeah, it seems to be a bit different to mine, especially, I mean, you're going to deny public consultation. I mean, my earlier analysis of the situation, comparing them to, socialism and a dictatorial situation, so it seems to be quite valid when, they've put a motion forth to ask the public what the public would like to, how the public would like to be represented, and instead they've decided to dictate terms. This is disgusting.
Well, the funny thing is that this has been on foot way before the local election.
Yep. Alan's just dropped out there for a second.
You there, mate?
Sorry, mate. Yep, just dropped out for a second there, mate. Maybe start that again. Sorry, buddy. You there?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, so so basically, the whole thing with this council is they say one thing and do the other. But with regard to the meters, I mean, I understand that these have already been purchased. So this was on foot way before the local election. So why didn't Anne-Marie, as the Division 3 councillor, say, moving forward, the budget's pretty RS, so we need to introduce meters to give us another income stream. But she didn't take that to the local election, and it's all smoke and mirrors again.
Yeah, Alan. So the mayor, previous mayor, before she was voted out, had already paid and got those parking meters. She was on radio with Steve Price last year, saying how she'd already got the meters and that they were being put in. Steve Price actually asked, were they going to be put along Thowangower Drive? But she wouldn't actually commit to saying yes to them going there. So, no, she already had this and knew this. Those councillors that were re-voted back in, which was Greenie, Mooney, and Bakovic, they all knew that they'd already been got. So
hang on. I just got to say, we never got a chance to vote Batkovic out because unfortunately nobody else stepped up, and I'm fucking 100% regretting not having stepped up myself at this point. Whether I would have beaten her or not, I don't know, but the fact that I didn't even put my hat in the ring, and now she's doing this and the way she's been behaving, I'm utterly disappointed because, I don't see any representation here.
No, there's no representation, no community consultation. There's nothing. it's my way or the highway. This Jenny Hill theme coming through again. You know.
Yeah. G'day, I am Blackboard. Love your work. This is your time in history. Hurry up. Yeah, it's time to get our shit together. So yeah, sorry Tracy, I cut you off there. I just wanted to point out that no, we didn't vote for Susie. It's just nobody else was, stepped up.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately.
she also jumped in on Troy when he also tried to bring up the previous debt from the previous council that had rolled into this year. When that was mentioned, she also jumped on him, and between her and I think it was Anne Marie then said that, that's it, that's in the past. This is the future. Looking into the future, we, as if we're not bringing up that up, and it's not going to be discussed.
Yeah. Well, of course, they don't want that egg on their face that they were a part of a horrific previous council and part of yet another horrific council at this point, that they caused the problem. And they were well aware of it, and they were ready to run this town further into the ground in another term under Jenny Hill. But they want a vote of no confidence in Troy for a few words. Well, actions speak louder than words, and it's not like Troy ran anybody over. It's not like Troy opened up a floodgate that ran water through thousands of people's homes. Actions speak louder than words, and these actions by these 6 particular council members, is disgraceful. And I believe there were, Brady Ellis, who, he ran as an independent, but, as we pointed out, and the mainstream media is only now catching on because they're that fucking shit at their jobs, that he's actually associated with the Liberal Party. But not only has he been... So that's not exactly transparent when you're so heavily associated with, one cheek of the giant arse in a smelly hole, but you're calling yourself independent.
Yeah, well, that's what Paul Jacobs said. I'm an independent. I'm team change, and I'm thick and hard with the Labor Party. So you can take independence with a grain of salt now too. I guess it's a word that's just been worn out.
There you go. Tiffany voted for you, Alan. You got a fan, mate.
Oh, thank you too. But getting back to Troy and his behaviour, okay, there was a vote of no confidence because of his behaviour. But if they're pointing the finger at the mayor, surely they should keep the same policy and the standard for themselves. And you've had Anne Marie on Channel 7 TV say, I'm not in the business of throwing the people out of Amaroo, but yet. That's exactly what the council's doing. Page 5 of their application says that they don't want permanent residents at that development and to make it unlawful. So, this woman, you can clearly see that she's lying when her lips are moving.
Definitely. And, for those who are not familiar, Amaroo is kind of a resort on Magnetic Island, just across, the bay there for us, and part of the Division 3 that Alan was running for. And unfortunately, Anne-Marie Greeny retained a seat there somehow. It's got me absolutely stuffed as to how. Like, you'd think people hadn't lived there before. But, and they're taking elderly residents and putting them out in the street. That's her plan, and we can't really seem to find any rhyme or reason as to why, other than maybe one person can profit. Is that correct?
Yeah. So if I could speak to the whole legal issue, Mark, the council have put an application in wanting the development to be changed to tourist zone. If they are successful with that, they want the tourist zone definition made to people that can only reside there 3 months of the year. And also the third part of their application is that that encompasses the long-term residents that have been living there. they've some of them have letters from the council stating that they can live there full time. So the council's done a full backflip, and now, you know, in their later years when they're vulnerable, the council's wanting to sink the boot in. And as everyone knows, you know, you've got the cost of living and a housing crisis. So where are these people going to live? You know.
Mm. And they're on a pension, you know, so they love picking their targets, and you know, there's just like 8 or 10 legal people, heavily employed and heavily funded by our own rate-paying tax dollars, for lack of a better term. We've been taxed. Let's not beat around the bush here. They've stolen our money, and then they're going to employ lawyers to attack us with our own money. And these are elderly citizens who probably lived here all their lives, worked hard, and here they are in their retirement. They've tucked away, bought themselves a nice place where they're not on, you know, a burden to society. They're, you know, doing their best to live out their final days in a place that they've chosen, and a council want to throw them out in their ear.
Well, the other point is that during the Jenny Hill term that actually started this legal action against these people, Anne Marie, the Division 3 councillor at the moment, was on the planning committee, and she said, she didn't know anything about it. So, you know, was she asleep at these planning committee meetings, or you know, what is the go? You know, because it doesn't seem like anyone's running this council. The council's running itself. You know, it's just an out of control entity as far as I can see.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got our 10 councillors and a mayor, and we know we've got a very highly paid CEO. I mean, Struth, they want to cut some costs and save some money. Maybe we throw that CEO out in his ass, and there's about $500,000 a year we save. We could do a lot of good with that money instead of paying him. Because if the best suggestion he's got is to continuously tax the shit out of the people.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, if you're ever in business, and I understand a few of these councillors are, but they're a bit scared at the moment, and that, you know, that's a bit unfortunate. But if you're in business, if you've got a certain profit margin, and that can't be increased for whatever reason, and you're looking at the whole balance sheet, you look at your expenses. So, you know, they're saying that they're bringing these parking meters in because the Strand costs $6 million a year to maintain. Well, where does the $6 million, where is it spent? You know, can we get other contractors and replace the ones there to do it for less? Is there new technology out there that we can save, you know, $500,000 here or $500,000 there? Is there better sprinklers? Is there better lawnmowers, or, you know, all this sort of stuff? But the council just seems untouchable, and they can spend as much money as they like. And if there's not enough money in the kitty, well, we'll just go to the ratepayer and they'll fork it up.
They also mentioned, Alan, in that meeting as well, that the Strand is due for an upgrade, which is another reason why they want to put the parking meters in, to pay for that or help pay for that as well.
But under what terms is it due for an upgrade? Because, I mean, there's holes in roads all over Townsville. Out front of my place, the gutter's fucked and has been for 7 bloody years. Nobody's done anything. You know, maybe I have to make a little bit more noise about that. But at the end of the day, why does the Strand need an upgrade? The only upgrade I see is that it needs more parking, not parking meters. And as I understand it, part of town planning is to account for the necessity of the public, henceforth having fucking parking, not billing us for the fact that you didn't do your job. You know, if they're going to put big businesses in and apartment buildings and all that, I believe that it's their duty to ensure that when those buildings are built, that there's parking for them. You know, there's 300 people are going to live in this friggin' building. We need 300 car parks at bare minimum. You know, I mean, and that's assuming that only one person's going to reside there, and who goes on holiday by themselves? You know, I mean, what if it's in an apartment? I'm thinking, you know, something different. But, you know, whether it's a rental apartment for touristy purposes or an apartment that you live in, you know, again, most families tend to have 2 cars these days. So allotting only one car park seems bloody ridiculous, you know. at what point do these people actually plan something and think about the application of such plans? And it's not like this is an isolated scenario to me, like having been around all over the country. You know, I've seen the same shit happen everywhere. Like, you can't tell me that absolutely every council is so incompetent that we've not thought that, oh, shit, we need parking. Oh, well, what's the solution? Oh, parking meters. Like, they can't possibly be that fucking stupid, can they? Or perhaps they expect us to think that maybe they think we are, that we won't notice.
Yeah, well, in that meeting when they're talking about the Strand upgrade, the fella said, "Oh, you know, well, the town's increasing in population, so the Strand needs to increase too." And I think I said to Tracy, I said, "Well, there's only a limited amount of parks for these people to go and see the Strand, and unless these people are now levitating down the Strand, there's not going to be any more people because you can't get any more people there. There's just the bureaucrats with no touch on reality are just running the show, and this is the disaster that you get all the time." And you had Andrew Robertson saying, "Oh, you know, well, it's good because, you know, you'll turn over the cars." I mean, I thought, you know, I thought he was a decent bloke, but I find out he's a public servant. So what would he know about business? You know, absolutely nothing. And you've got all these people saying, "Oh, you know, well, I know this and I know that," but they've got no functional experience whatsoever. So they're all just talking through their ass.
Definitely. Speaking of talking through their ass, I believe there was a ridiculous comment made by Brady Ellis in that meeting. Would somebody like to enlighten the public to what was said there?
Yes, I would like to. Because
by all means.
It disgusted me and it insulted me. So he sat there with this little baby face who only moved into this town in 2017 and then said, "We can't be good dads all the time." I'm sorry? Are you trying to say that you're going to act like my father when you're old enough to be my own child? Yeah, I was quite disgusted. That should not have been said the way it was said. And I take offence to it. Don't try and tell me that you're going to be now a bad dad and put the parking meters in. So, yeah, I did take offence to it. And there should be apology.
I agree. I can't help but feel that there's two ways I'd look at this. You know, one is that you can't be a good dad. So he's emphasised the fact that to not put parking meters in would be the good thing to do, recognising that he knows what he's doing is bad. This is pretty straightforward common sense as far as I'm concerned. So he's admitted that what he's doing is bad. Well done. Thank you for your admission of guilt. Secondly, he's insulted the entire frigging Townsville population, assuming that we are children. Mate, if it wasn't for what happened to Donald Trump recently, I'd have some bloody choice words for what we can do with this dickhead.
But that was quite poor on Brady Ellis's part. There's no question about that. But the other thing I felt quite insulting when he consulted the bloke from the Townsville City Council and said, if I go to the Strand at 5 a.m., how much do I pay? And the bloke said nothing. And if I go to the Strand at 7:30 at night, how much do I pay? And the bloke said nothing. And if I'm disabled, how much do I pay? And they said nothing. But I don't want to go there at 5 a.m. I don't want to go there at 7:30, and I'm not disabled, so I'm in none of those categories. So I'm going to pay. Yeah. What was the point of that whole situation? I mean, this is just a show front. This bloke, there's no practical application in this bloke whatsoever. It's a joke.
Of course not. It is 100%. I mean, it takes 2 carloads for our family to get down there. That's 2 lots of parking I've got to pay for, and we've got to move 2 bloody cars around all throughout the Strand where we know there's restricted parking to start with, although there's probably going to be a hell of a lot more car parks available all of a sudden when they put these bloody eyesores in. You know, and you can see, you just got to have a look at the Townsville, everything Townsville page to see that these guys are about as popular as a fart in a spacesuit right now. I don't know how they expect to, or are they thinking that the public are going to forget by next election, or do they only think that like this is it, this is our last term? Let's just piss the people off as much as possible because they're about to see just how corrupt we are. Like I don't know. What kind of thinking is going through these people's heads? You know, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense.
Yeah, but I'd like to talk about something positive now. So I worked for a lady yesterday, Colleen, quite an elderly lady, and she asked me, how did it go with the parking meters? I said, well, the ratepayers were defeated, the council stooges won. She said, that's no good. She said, Alan, I don't do the tap and go with the meters, And I thought, well, that's a good point, because all the meters going down the Strand, if you don't have a credit card or some sort of electronic payment method, you can't use them.
Which is disgraceful.
So all these people that go down there that are, plus 70 or even 60 years old that don't have these sort of facilities, they can't go down there. So, Colleen,
I mean, just look at how much trouble you had trying to log into this chat right now using technology. Like, sorry to pick on you there, Alan, but but it's a perfect example of the hardships that some people aren't very good with technology. I know a lot of people who just happen to touch a computer and the frigging thing has little white flags pop out in a puff of smoke. So
are you talking about me?
I would never suggest such things about you. Or my lovely tech support out there that took half an hour to fix the problem.
But let me finish, Mark. So Colleen said, can you make if you're talking about Troy or talking to Troy or Christian Price or Kirk Rabine, could you say thank you very much for sticking up for the ratepayers? So if Troy's listening tonight, or Christian or Kurt, this lady that you'll never met, that's very lovely, said thank you, and I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands.
Great many have, and we the people have observed that the actions of certain councillors resound a lot more than their words. What they were clearly for the six mentioned here: Susie, Anne Marie, Brody, Liam, and Andrew. Your actions have told us who you are. Your words mean nothing now. And Alan's just dropped in and out there.
Well, I am actually one of those people, Mark, and I did try to get hold of some of the councillors Wednesday afternoon. I wasn't able to because I do not have a tap card. So in actual fact, I tried to point out that they're discriminating against people who don't have that ability. I don't have apps. I have an old Nokia phone. So I've got no apps, none of that. So I can't pay because I only use cash. And if they don't have any parking meters with cash down there, so what are they discriminating against me and saying, well, you virtually can't go there unless you can find a park somewhere in the back streets, and then walk from wherever you find a park down there. Because
and you've also got some medical conditions there that make it a bit hard for you to walk on top of it. So
that's correct.
Oh, I guess you might have to put in for one of those disability badges so you can get the special car park and whatnot.
Hey, well, it's still actually in the law that the pubs and places still need to have somewhere to tether your horse. So maybe if I just take a horse down and tether it up somewhere, because that's in the law.
And if you happen to come across any of them counsellors, your horse can provide some ammunition.
Sounds like a plan.
Yep.
But I think this battle is far from over, Mark. I think it was 6-5, so it was close. So we just need the ratepayers to continue the pressure on either B1 or B2, Brody or Brady, it doesn't matter. One or both of them would be lovely, to join the side of the ratepayer. So this can be fixed up, and the balance sheet is shocking because Jenny Hill wouldn't take that money off Philip Thompson. I think it was $60 million is the amount touted. So they're looking at less than $2 million from these parking meters as opposed to the $60 million from Philip Thompson. So
Can we
there's
elaborate on that just a little bit further? Like, can we just explain that situation a little bit more? How Philip Thompson was offering 60 million and how it wasn't taken.
So I understand that was his contribution as a LMP member to the Horton pipeline. So the state and federal governments give a contribution, and Jenny Hill, playing politics, said, no, we don't want it. Maybe the state government will believe that they were going to cough up with the lot, but they obviously didn't. So the Horton pipeline's now been stalled. The cost is now blowing out. In this budget, I think they allocated $54 million to try and plug that hole. That's now not enough either. So the Horton pipeline is now in doubt. But here's a council, pissing everyone off with their meter suggestion, which is hopeless because they've already tried it in there and in the mall, and they've wrecked the mall. So if it doesn't work in the mall, let's try it on the Strand. I mean, it's obviously going to work down the Strand, and it's just moronic. But these people are just chasing their tails all the time instead of having a good hard look at the balance sheet and saying, "Hey, where can we cut some fat?" It's just.
Sorry, we've lost Alan mid-sentence there. We are running. Sorry, mate, we lost you mid-sentence there.
Yeah, so it's just ridiculous that this council won't trim any of the fat of their entity, but the ratepayer has to cough up all the time. I mean, the services are getting worse. And I said to one of the councillors, I said, no, don't put parking meters down there. He said, why not? I said, mate, after I've paid the ridiculous rate, hit potholes in the old roads that are stuffed, or driven on the new roads that are stuffed, gone through all the crime that you won't represent it at state government level because it's apparently in our heads. I go down the Strand to unwind and regroup and then go back. I said, now you want to tax me on that too? I said, you can get stuffed.
That's exactly it. Taxes on top of taxes. So, I mean, there were other things that are... I've gone blank.
So we need to mention too that there's a rally has been organised for the 3rd of August.
Yes, which is why we've got Oliver here, because Oliver posted earlier that he had set up a rally. So I quickly sent him a link. So we'll quickly bring Oliver in. G'day, Oliver. How are you, mate? Your microphone is muted, buddy. There we are.
There we go. Hello, everyone.
How are you, mate?
Good, man. I am feeling a bit better now. I saw your call, and I was I've been doing some security work, so I've been sleeping when I meant to be awake and awake when I meant to be sleeping. But I'm back in good order now.
That's good. So tell us a little bit about this rally that you're organising, mate.
Yes. Well, first of all, it kind of started by me seeing Facebook and seeing that they had come out with this thing, which I thought there's no way that they'll put paid parking at the Strand. It's the Strand. Everyone that lives in Townsville loves the Strand, and some might even argue it's one of the best things about Townsville. We can't have anything silly like what is happening now happen to it in the future. So what I decided to do was jump right onto the opportunity of making a rally. It will be held on the 3rd of August on a Saturday from 9 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. And yeah, I'd like to give, particularly first off, some of the businesses along the Strand an opportunity to speak about this and how this may affect them, as well as, of course, anyone else that's been involved in this matter, because I myself have not been. I'm just organising it because I want to do something about it. And then I don't want to speak too much about the plan for the event, apart from the speakers and stuff that'll be there. But this rally, I hope, will be a little bit different than a bunch of us just coming along and talking about what's wrong. Maybe hearing some good speeches. And I like a good speech. I'm not going to lie, but I do also appreciate action once we've had a good speech. So there'll be a component of actually something that we can actually do after the event or even during the event.
No, awesome, mate. So where along the Strand is everybody meeting for this?
Yeah, well, I've organised it for the Gregory Street Amphitheatre. Because it is, it's an amphitheatre. It's a perfect place for this sort of thing, and it's on the Strand, right? How many rallies have we had here in Townsville? We always have a political rally at the Strand when we might not necessarily need to have it there because our event that we're doing isn't to do with the Strand, but now it actually is. So there's a bit of a purpose involved in the Strand. We're not just there because it's a nice place to hang out.
Yeah, nice. It's definitely a good idea. I have to confess, I'm not going to be able to make it myself, so we'll see what we can do about getting someone to fill in for me. So obviously, as one of the event organisers, my hopeful idea of getting you to report on it might be a bit challenging. So we might have to look into getting some alternative people in to assist. I have the gear available. We just need some trustworthy people to operate said gear, and perhaps somebody who's keen on doing some reporting on this one, because I think we definitely just need to do it. But I have previous engagements, and it's my children's birthday, so I hope you can forgive me for spending time with my kids, boys and girls. It's just so typical. One of the most important things that's happening in Townsville. I need to be there, and I've got my kids' birthdays happening, so that's fine. That's cool. Yeah, awesome. Cheers, man. I might get somebody else to operate that camera since you had so much trouble logging in, though.
That hurts.
Oh, look, I have to confess. Yeah, definitely good on you, Oliver.
Oliver. Good on you, mate.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, cheers, man. Hope to see you there.
Yeah, mate, I'll be there
Ruben's
for sure,
there.
mate.
Awesome. National Strike Australia has some action plans and documents regarding legislators of council. Actually, on that note, I'd also like to mention that the Know Your Rights group is coming to town. The things that occur to you while you're driving around town doing your job, and then you think, I'm going to do that when I get home later, and then you don't do it. This is one of those moments. So bear with me for a second while I pull up the website for the Know Your Rights group. They are coming to town, not this weekend, next weekend. This is your opportunity, boys and girls. It's the first opportunity here for North Queensland, and quite possibly the last, or at least the last for a long time, as it's being spoken about. We'll hear more about what's going on in time to come, but fundamentally, look, it is huge. The Friday night is free, so if you're not sure and you're like, what am I going to get out of this? What's it going to be? Just come to the free Friday night, check it out. But you do have to book your spot, because there are only so many things going. There's actually an entire local government tab here available on the knowyourrightsgroup.com.au website. But yeah, look, if you've got the opportunity, the ability to make it on the Friday, and just let me pull up my calendar, that will be Friday the 26th of July, next week. I highly recommend it. We're also setting up a Monday night, the 29th of July. I've been talking to Darren, and him and Daryl are happy to do a small little adventure. I do need numbers, so I need people to actually email me. I've got 18 people confirmed so far. We're hoping to get a bit more because I need to determine what kind of size venue. So if you turn around on Monday midday and go, hey, I'd really like to go that, but we've run out of space, that's because you didn't let me know, right? So email me, nqfreedomnetwork@protonmail.com, if you're interested in having a quick little yarn with Darren and Daryl. There will be questions. It'll be short. And it's different to what's going to be presented at the Know Your Rights thing. They are two separate events, two different kinds of things. And even if you're going to one, you possibly want to go to both. I know I will definitely be at both of them. Highly recommend we do that you go and check that stuff out. And hopefully there'll be some amazing ideas for how we can deal with council, because these guys have a very successful strategy. Like I've said to many people time and time again, I have not paid a speeding fine in over 15 years. I've been successful in watching them tuck their tail between their legs and run every time. So look, this stuff does work. It's not like a lot of the other things out there where people claim that it works and it doesn't. And I'm struggling to find seminars. There it is. That's the tab we want. And I'll just throw the whole tab in there because I'm rambling in order to keep going. But yeah, just thought I'd give those guys a quick plug because they're definitely worth it, you know. Here's the link going into the comments section right now. I do want to acknowledge that Skye's being very patient. We've been running a little bit behind time, so she's sitting there patiently. Is there anything else that we want to discuss quickly regarding the council before we bring Skye in and try the new dynamics of multiple guests and multiple things happening on the North Queensland Freedom Network in one night?
Oh, I think the other thing that needs to be mentioned is that was mentioned in the meeting the other day. So we're 41 million debt is what the council is in debt at the minute for. I was talking to somebody else today that actually heard it was a bit more than that. So we can't verify that at the minute, but they are saying 41 million in debt. There's 30 million sitting in the, I can't remember what they called it, as in
like a working account.
Yeah, that's it. So there's 30 million sitting in that. Once that's gone, the council will be waiting then for the ratepayers to pay their money to get any more money in. I know. Well, I was talking to another bloke today who also said to me, why hasn't it ever been disclosed the amount that the Tamala prawn farm was sold for? Jenny Hill never disclosed what that was sold for. And apparently that was sold to Twiggy Forest. Right. So there's a couple of things that have been, just with talking with people around the town, that have been cropping up, you know, sort of pointing out. I spoke to a lady from the island. She was saying how that they were, Jenny Hill said that they were going to replace or fix that reservoir. They've done a patch job on it. She told them to boil their water or filter it. Then she said she fixed it. Well, no, it's not really fixed at all. But yet she paid nearly $1 million to put all those rocks around the parks in Townsville. So, and then she also gave out $100,000 in prize money for the ephemera winners of last year. So 90,000 went to the winner, and it was 10,000 that went to the Artistic Excellence Award. So where did the $100,000 come from? Who paid that? Like, was that the ratepayers' money that was given away? The one that's coming up next year, there's no prize money anywhere near that amount. All of a sudden, they're all down to about, I think there's a $10,000 and a $1,000 categories. So there's a lot of questions that I think our ex-mayor needs to be held accountable for.
Definitely. We need some serious investigations.
Yep, those poor people over on the island have still got that same reservoir that have been patched up. Nothing's been fixed. I was also told today that Anne-Marie Greenie has been invited to every Mirror meeting that they have on the first Saturday of every month, and she has attended.
On Magnetic Island?
That's on Magnetic Island, and she's attended none of them.
Disgraceful. Yeah, I mean, you know, taxation without representation just doesn't seem right.
No, but the system's failing.
So we do need to wrap up because we do need to move along. I want to thank everybody for coming on and giving us a quick council update. And hopefully this will be the first of many. I'm actually suggesting that perhaps, maybe at least once a month minimum, maybe once a fortnight, we can get you guys to come in and give us a bit of a council update, because you guys are watching it really well and doing a great job of it, coming back and reporting. There was actually another person who actually mentioned something to me the other day where they seen Anne-Marie Greeny doing this kind of thing in the council room.
Put this up.
And then there was the
That one.
this kind of stuff and all that sort of stuff. There's a kind of thing that somebody was mentioning. I don't know. It's secondhand information. If anybody else has noticed that kind of childish behaviour, apparently, this same witness that was there also basically stated that it was they carry on like children. And these people are taking, $170,000 a year from taxpayers' money. They're looking at ways to cut the costs. Wasn't it the council themselves under Jenny Hill's leadership last year who voted themselves in a huge pay rise? Well, maybe they can retract some of that pay rise and show us how much they really care. Just a thought.
That'd be good. Yeah. Mark, if we could just finish with giving Oliver a bit of a plug for his rally. If he could give us the date and the start time for that again, please.
Most certainly.
Yep. The date will be on Saturday, the 3rd of August from 9 a.m. till 11:30 p.m. at the Gregory Street Amphitheatre. I can send through you the picture of the little event. I unfortunately cannot, due to some account restrictions. I'm in Facebook jail. I can't share to any group. Wow. I can't make events. I can do basically, I can't really do a whole lot on my account anymore. So I'm going to have to make a new account. But
all right, well, send it over to me, brother, and we'll see what we can do to help get that situation rectified, man. We'll definitely have to catch up, Oliver. We've got quite a bit to discuss, regarding the cool things we can do. Thanks heaps for coming on and giving us a quick idea. I was wondering who had set that rally up, and I should not be surprised that it'd be a great man like yourself doing it. Thanks heaps for doing that for us and for all of Townsville.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Man. Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries, anytime, man. Thanks heaps, Alan, for popping in again. Hopefully the people are really regretting having voted for Anne-Marie Greeny at this point, because if you had have taken that one seat, we wouldn't be having this conversation about friggin' parking meters, because that would have been the vote that tipped the scale. It's that simple, absolutely. Townsvillians. Yeah. So, in 4 years' time, remember the mistakes you've made, Townsville. Keep the Labor Party and former Jenny Hill cronies out of the situation. Actually, that was one thing I wanted to mention too. All these video cameras that they've put up all around town that are here for our safety have done fuck all for our safety. The Labor Party has actually managed to increase the crime rate to exponential rates. Those cameras have not helped us. What they are actually going to be used for is to make sure that you move your car and to facilitate the administration of the fines for these parking meters. That's what it was really all about, boys and girls.
Yeah. Righto, Mark. No worries, mate. And
thanks heaps.
Best of luck to you, Oliver, and I'll see you at that rally, mate, for sure.
Right.
Awesome.
And thank you, Tracy, for coming on and helping us out. I'm sure Blackboard really appreciates your work. And we'll definitely be getting them T-shirts made up very soon. So, and I believe we're going to get a custom one for Blackboard. So she's going to have her own special one, seeing, it's just too funny. You've got to go back and look at the Troy Thompson conspiracy theory, which really just paints, and actually that was a comment I wanted to quickly end on, actually. Here in Townsville, it's a small little town, we don't have the Trump derangement syndrome. We have Troy derangement syndrome here in Townsville, and it's escalated to what's going on now. So thank you all very much for coming in, guys. I think we're going to change the guard now. So till next time, and I'll look forward to having you guys back on for another council update.
No problem. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
see you later,
Mark.
guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.
See ya, mate. And without further ado, I think it's time, to bring in Skye. G'day, Skye. How are ya?
Hi, Mark. Really good. Thanks for having me here, and it's great to meet you. Do you prefer Batty or Mark? I'm
not one of those people who gets upset by pronouns. I make up a new one every week. At the moment, I'm mainstream media loves as my pronoun. Because they've spent so much time, giving me such attention, because of the Troy Thompson derangement syndrome that this town suffers. So I thought it was time. I previously identified as a barbecue because, we can continuously get labelled as cookers. And I thought, well, what kind of a cooker am I? I'm like, well, I'm an Aussie. It's got to be a barbecue. So, names don't really matter, but... But yeah, look, Batty's fine. That's the kind of world we live in. It's a crazy world. It's a Batty world. So that's the persona I have established here for the purposes of the North Queensland Freedom Network. But yeah, it is lovely to meet you. We only just engaged in text messaging just yesterday, and here you are. It's amazing. So look, I understand you're going to be there for the Living Free Festival, which will be coming up soon. I'll punch up some quick details and share that, but while I'm punching up some details, give us a quick rundown as to how you got involved with the Living Free movement and what your presentation is going to be about.
Yeah, so I came into the Living Free movement, I guess, in the beginning phase as a student. I had a bit of a interesting story into private law, or I guess you could say the private side of the ledger. To give a bit of background on it, I'll try and keep it really short because it's quite a convoluted story. But I grew up in the central wheat belt of Western. I'm a Sandgroper, so Western Australia here. I grew up on the land with my family, and it was a very traditional family. We were farming for many generations, and I moved to Queensland. I lived there for a while, moved to the Territory, and I experienced a divorce, which, if anyone's been through that, it's not an easy road. And it was a really bizarre and complex court case, and I only knew the public side of the ledger at that point. My dad flew in to kind of help just keep things going because it was such a complex scenario, and I was kind of in no man's land logistically because of the way we did our business. And during that time, so he set up my front door. I have to give my dad credit, right? Because he's the reason I'm in the Living Free movement, and he's a total badass that really because he had his awakening, right, through my situation, and that's what led to me getting to the Living Free movement. So I'm going through this divorce. He's sitting out my front door for 2 months. He sat there day in, day out. He's on his iPad trying to run his business, and he's studying case law. And in the end, he's like, oh my gosh, there's this whole other side of the thing going on. And it was a massive epiphany for him. And so he couldn't really talk much to me about it because I was very much in survival mode, but it started a big journey for him, which was huge because for such a traditional background to shed those layers, it was kind of a big deal. So he studied furiously. This was in 2014. And he studied really furiously, and he's learning from some really intelligent guys and women and people that had been down this, common law or private law path for many years. And he started a very courageous journey. And so when I got divorced, I decided that the only way to be safe in the world was to go and start a law degree. So my dad's on this private law tangent and I'm on this public law tangent. And we would talk for hours and we'd swap notes about all these things. And long story short, I just realized that it was a full body no to the legal or the public side. And I watched my dad do this thing, and I was kind of learning by osmosis. So I have to give him a lot of credit because I'm a real newcomer to this private law realm, and he really gave me a huge foundation. We'd spent hours talking, and he paved the path for me. And then I went up to run our business in the north, so he could come down and do some of his processes and really focus on that. And I think that was probably lonely for him at the time, right? Because you're in communities that are very traditional and huge unfoldings for our family. But anyway, I'm watching him and I'm like, my dad's amazing. I could never do that. And then I get to this point during COVID where my kids all come home and we're all in lockdown, and I just looked at these kids and I'm like, I don't know what the answer is, but I know we haven't found it, and I know I have to do something, and I don't know what that is, but I've got to do something and I'll figure it out. So I started with the notice of liability that on the vaccinations that Dave and I think Tom with the Living Free movement were involved in another program. And it was really amazing because I got to do a process that was, handheld, really well set up. And then I would just like pick my dad's brains, like call him every 5 seconds. What about this piece? What about this piece? So I really learned a lot. But then it wasn't, again, I was like, that's his journey. I'll just do what I can. But then my fourth offspring arrived shortly after COVID, and it just shifted something profound in me, because when I understood or realized what that registration meant, I was like, that was again a full body no. And that meant I had to do a real deep dive. So this was no longer, me being a voyeur to my dad's journey. I had to just learn. So I was fortunate to find the Living Free movement and the Sovereign by Design work, which was all about trust and at that time. And so I started to learn the trust work to kind of build more of my knowledge and get a bit of a foundation of how I was going to do my own commercial walk and protect my family and my kids and create a new path. And so that led me into a whole gamut of things, but ultimately it eventuated with me being offered the position to come in and test this new trust and PMA body of work that was proving to be potentially very beneficial to us here in Australia in terms of banking and things like that. So that's kind of how I got in there. I just started as a student, and then I ended up kind of having to just run with things and just getting deeper and deeper into it. Yeah. So,
yeah, nice. So I was one of the things that I found really interesting that I think it'd be really cool to sort of dive a little bit deeper into is how long were you studying law in the traditional, socialist indoctrination center system, and how well did that integrate with what your old man's proposing about, the more the private, some might say common law. There's a few different terms sort of floating around for that, identification, understanding of the trinity of, the public, the private, and the sort of halfway sort of commercial sort of constructs,
Yeah, it was super short-lived. Like we're talking a semester, because he just kept I'd be like, Dad, check this out. And he'd be like, well, check this out. And he just brought me to the light side, because it was so irrefutable what he was able to present. It was just so clear in the law, because that's how I like to approach things, is if I can't see it with my own eyes and I can't work it back. But he could just produce all of this evidence. He was really good at investigating the Act, statutes and codes to really bring forth how water world, fiction world was working. And it was too hard to deny. And so we really came together, because that's a bit of a lonely walk. I don't know if you've experienced that, but this whole sides can be, so it was great to come together and learn that. And and I just initially I wanted to take time out and think, maybe I'll come back to the legal side, but it was just no way. No way. Yeah.
So how long were you studying under the socialist scenario?
Oh, well, I've spent a lot of time at uni. I had previous things at uni. So this was the really great thing about this program that I'm there to talk about at the Living Free movement, because I went through the typical schooling thing, but then my dad always joked that I'd be he used to say, you'd be a professional student if you were given the chance, because I love to learn. So I had a really strong or indoctrinated learning template. So when I came into this body of work to test the trusts and the PMAs, I came in with this perspective of what it was to learn and how we learn. And I had a sense of entitlement, right? It was well, I need the information. Information should come to me. And this path's all about self-governance, and it's all about self-actualization and self-realization. So I had a lot of resistance because it didn't just shed layers off my learning template. It got like a baseball bat and just it was womp womp. And I had a lot come up with that. I had resistance, I had anger. And I think, to be honest, after COVID and some of the realizations, I had a lot of anger anyway, because that was traumatic for me. And I saw that in my women friends and people around me. So I came in with a lot of emotion, and, I was, shedding learning templates and all this kind of stuff. And so what this program did for me was when I came into put it together, it actually gave me a really good foundation through the learning of the trusts and then also the PMA side. It really taught me some of the rules of commerce and how we can use commerce to our advantage in the public realm, but also too how we can start to move into that private side of the ledger. So we can kind of walk both worlds. We can create this private standing or more of an unincorporated or private standing, but still do things in commerce. Because for many of us with families, like when I came in, I was like, I want to just run and leave the plantation, just get me off the plantation, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's where my dad's kind of at. He's just like missing in action. And for me, because I have this family and I've got to do certain things, it wasn't an option really just to kind of run away to the bush, which is what I wanted to do. So yeah. So lots to kind of learn, and it gave me a structure to create this new way. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And like the get off the plantation thing, there's a video. I'm going to see if I can bring it up that's available. I seen it on the Know Your Rights page to start with. I'm just trying to. I think it might have been under the straw man thing. Straw man. Where is it? I know I seen it on the Know Your Rights page at some point. I don't know if it's still there. I'll have to dig into it and find it. But yeah, it was a really good video. And I believe that I've heard something about them making a movie based on the same concept, you know, where, you know, it's like, you know, the African American slaves sort of people are trying to, you know, put to work on the plantation, and they basically draw an analogy between, you know, that slave scenario versus the way we live here and now, and it's a very confronting sort of a video. Is that what you're referring to when you get me off this plantation?
It's kind of a way of conceptualizing, like, I did a body of research recently that, you know, kind of went back in the US to Abraham Lincoln and, you know, what we understand him to have done. And what it kind of indicates is like he abolished this thing, because everyone's like, you know, he abolished slavery. But really what he did in the US was he changed the congressional records so that everyone got bought into what they considered booty jurisdiction. So it was where they brought the law of water, like admiralty and maritime, onto the land. And instead of freeing one portion, they just brought all of us into this jurisdiction. So it's like, yes, he did that, but then all of us became property. And that goes back to, you know, the thing about the, you know, the citizenship and the Trading with the Enemy Act. So we're now moving towards more of a global scene, I guess you could say, where each country is just another type of plantation, and we're all starting to come under this same system. So it's kind of that's the piece that for me I really needed to understand, because that's, you know, listening to you guys talking, you know, when I was waiting in the lobby about these taxable events, these are all the things on the public side that create the taxable events. So registrations and licenses, and there's going to be more and more and more and more, because that's the only way the government or these corporations can make anything. They literally can't generate the revenue without our labor, our sentience, our, you know, our thing, right? So what this program really taught me was that when you're on the public side of the ledger, you're always going to be dealing with taxable events, and they'll just keep coming so that they can make more money. And so what we want to learn to do is create a parallel and a benevolent parallel society that's on the unincorporated side that gives us more of a tax exempt status or standing. And it allows us to protect things over here. We can be seen by corporations. We can be like, it's like a proxy. You can be seen there, but you're starting to stand clear from some of these commercial events, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So
a coexistence.
Yeah, it's like I'll be over here, and the way that Bernard so it's Bernard's body of work, and he's with the Life Foundation, and he collaborates with Sovereign by Design, who are based in Canada. And the way he describes it is you've got the public side of the ledger, the commerce, and then the legal side, and then you've got the private side, which is kind of, you know, on the land. And what's happened is we've been put into this commercial water, and we're not organised. So our vessel is bobbing around on the seas of commerce, and we're coming up against these big vessels. And the only difference between them and us in commerce is that they're organized and we're not.
Yeah.
So they've got rules, they've got these things, and we are bumping into them because we don't know the rules of engagement. We don't know the commercial language.
Yep.
And so what this program is designed to do is to teach people, this is the commercial language. These are the rules that they are working by. And now let's use their system to benefit ourselves. Because what you'll find is that most of these corporations are running NGOs in the background, which means that they're public shop fronts and they're funneling funds back to these non-governmental private organizations. So they have all sorts of taxation treaties and, you know, agreements and contracts that allow them to funnel funds to different places. So we're kind of taking their system and building a certain thing for our benefit now. So we can meet them commercially in commerce and be like, I'll see ya and I'll raise ya, you know, or at least I'll see you, right? Whereas before, we've been really out of control and feeling, you know, for me, I was feeling really helpless. I was feeling like, why am I not able to do this? Why can't I do this? And it's like, ta-da, we just got to get organized. And now the conversation becomes different. And for me as a woman, because I'm super emotional, Batty, like I'm super emotional. So for me, business is like, I came in and I'm like, I was like all hot and heavy. And it's like the Godfather movie, you know, it's not personal, it's business. And so this has allowed me to just cool my jets and go, okay, this is a commercial transaction. Don't put my energy into it. Don't put my heart into it. Stop putting my thing into it. Do the thing and just leave it there. So that's been quite liberating for me because I've carried a lot of energy around this whole system and what it is or isn't, you know? Yeah, I think that's liberating.
No, look, you know, and I don't think it's just a female thing. I think anybody who, you know, gets the contractual offer to do business in the mail, you know, for instance, a speeding fine. Hi, I'm offering you 2/5 of fuck all. In fact, would you like to buy this really shitty photo of your car for $300, for instance? That's kind of the way I look at it these days, you know. It's like, well, let's have fun with it. Whereas, like, you know, until you come to that realization of, hang on, this is what they're doing, you know, and you look at it like, what the fuck? What do you mean I'm going to give you $300, you know? Like, you don't even remember that you've done it. It's not like you intentionally went out of your way to be 5 kilometers over the speed limit. I think most people are generally law-abiding citizens just trying to go about their business and survive this horrific excuse for a society, you know. So, and I like to use the speeding fine because it's an easy one that everybody gets, and like everybody knows that feeling. You open up the mail, you get this friggin' really shitty photo of your car, and they're demanding money for it.
Yeah.
And that's where my journey began. You know, like I remember I come home from work one day, there it is, and it's a shitty photo of my car, you know, just like a minute down the road from home, coming home from work, and now you're going to steal that day of work from me. That's the way I'm looking at it. I'm like, you bastards, I'm not happy, you know. And I called a friend, you know, Brother Strawn, who I mentioned earlier. I don't think you were there at the time, but you know, he runs on Strawn time, which is a whole different, you know, pocket universe of temporal mechanics.
Like territory time, or is it worse?
Yeah, well, it's similar. It's got that Murray time. It's got that territory time thing. But like Strawn time it's something else. You know, like it could be, you know, a minute means an hour, or a minute means 5 weeks. You know, it's a very random unit of time. You know, but anyway. You know, and I've called Brother Strawn up. I'm like, mate, what's going? This is pissing me off. You know, like I can't believe this shit's happened. You know, well, actually, I think I just lobbed up because we were rehearsing at his studio at the time, and he's on, hey, you should have a yarn to Darren. Darren's doing some pretty cool shit at the moment. He's starting to fight this stuff, and this is like way back in the early days before he got in with the Know Your Rights group and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Darren, Strawny reckons you're starting to make a bit of headway here, and that's when he slides me the Aussie speeding fines book, and he's like, have a look at this shit, man. Let's have some fun. And I'm like, cool, and the journey begins, you know, and that was good 15 if not more years ago, a long time ago. So and it's been cool to be on the the inside sort of thing, watching what Darren's done with the know your rights and his own personal endeavors and
amazing
stuff.
There's so much
brilliant.
there for us. Like honestly, it's an exciting time. Like yes, it's heavy, but it is like exactly right. There's people that have been doing a power of work, and that's what I said. I'm a relative newcomer, right? But there's these paths have been being paved for a really long time, and that's exciting. And I can't wait to meet these people at the Living Free Movement Festival, because you hear about it, to think that we're going to be there in that space and time together. It's a bit of a mind blow. So yeah,
I think I'm definitely going to have to try and find a way to be there myself. Like 23rd, 25th of August. Can it be possible? Can it be possible? I think I might be able to wrangle something. We'll sort something out. I have to check my calendar. We'll do that in a later. But I'm going to share my. Sorry, I'm just going to share the screen at this point. You continue while I'm sharing a screen so everybody else can see what's going on here.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, there's lots of different kind of remedies that are there, and I guess like for me, the PMA stuff is exciting because of how it brings us together. Like talking about connecting and being in that space together. Like the right to associate is even under, like it's in the documentation of the United Nations and all of these kind of big global things that are coming down. All of them recognize our right to associate the very way that we're going to be doing at the Living Free Festival. And that's what takes us out of that public jurisdiction. Like it's really cool to think we're going to come together as men and women. That's a classic example of a great PMA, is that you're coming together, and what happens is when you create an agreement as men and women on the private side, you've just created a law, which means that law can't be really interceded by anything from that realm, that public realm, because the contract is the law, the agreement is the law. So it makes it very difficult for public agents to kind of come in and try to intercourse with those, with these kinds of setups. So just definitely a fresh way of being together.
Yeah. And there is a lot to digest in this stuff, and I don't blame people for being confused. Truth, reading was never my strong point, but it's a necessity. You need to know these sorts of things. Wow, lots of guests.
It's also like a bit of it's a double, like they got us twice, right? Because we not only have to learn the system, we have to learn the language, because the language has been flat out bastardized. Like what they're teaching us in schools is not what the language means in many cases. And the whole problem is exactly this taxation issue that you were talking about earlier. We're in a double income society. We've got our asses hanging out trying to pay the bills and cover our speeding fines, right? And so you've got time to study at the end of the day, like you do look for bread circuses, because it's like I just need to dial out. And so that's the unfortunate part. And they kind of get you. Like when I started, it was really laborious and laborious, whatever that word is. And I realized they got me one way or the other. They either got my fiat currency, they got my debt notes, or they got me bound to my office desk to try to defend something. It's like either way, they got value out of me and they did nothing. It's like I've got to get smarter about this, because either way they've got me, right? So it's getting smart about, for me, how we set ourselves up to mitigate that contact with them and just be like, you stay over there, we'll stay over here. Setting ourselves up in agreements to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And there's obviously a lot of power in these things, and some things work better than others, and and again, it's one of those things like listening to, say, the Know Your Rights guys, for example. A lot of it's attitude as much as it is the knowledge. Like having the knowledge is one thing, but if you don't have the will to sort of implement it, that's where things can get tricky. So I mean, my more recent encounter with the lovely speeding fine was lobbing into court, and the judges, after sending several letters and having a big game plan, and I'm all geared up. I'm walked in there 10 foot tall and bulletproof, And when the judge turns to me and goes, "I understand you wish to fight that," I've gone with every bone in my body, mate. He didn't ask me guilty or not guilty. He didn't even waste his time. He's like, "I understand you wish to fight this." Bloody oath, mate. You bet I'm going to fight this. And I kind of feel that my strong stance on, we're going. going to take this all away is what scared them off, because, you know, by the time they set the second mention, you know, the police prosecution's calling me and saying, oh, sorry, we're just dropping the charges. We submit, rolling over on my belly, please scratch me.
Yeah. How's the energy of those courtrooms, hey? It's like someone needs to take a massive sage stick into that and just smoke those joints out. Like, it is hectic. The density of those courthouses is like,
Yeah.
it's nuts. It holds a lot of energy.
And it's all negative, you know, so much negative energy, you know, like the domination factor, as well as the anger factor from people coming in, and the sorrow and the misery and
trauma,
you
the
know,
victim,
yeah,
like the persecution, like it's heavy. I just in there, I'm like, this is viscerally uncomfortable, and that's where they get people. That's how they roll people. That's how they get us on their backs, because people just go in there and it's so thick. Yeah, a PMA is a private members association for sure. Yeah. So that's where we're coming to as men and women together on the private side through unincorporated organisations, and making agreements and our own contracts to self-govern, to lift up our brothers and sisters, to bring forward their benevolent businesses and their gifts and their offerings forward, and to kind of create this other side of the.
Sorry, I was just answering the question in the comment with you keep talking, okay?
No, that's all right. Did you want to cover the?
Oh, well, the cost for a family, $595. That's 2 adults, 2 children, full access, car parking, and on-site camping, to answer Victoria's question. So all the information is fundamentally here on the website, which I've punched into the comments, and there's a whole bunch of frequently asked questions that can be easily answered. And somebody asked earlier, it's Pillar Valley, which is I believe northern New South Wales, 1 hour from Coffs Harbour, which is a small airport, 1 hour 30 minutes from Ballana, a larger airport, approximately 2 hours from the Gold Coast, and 3 hours from Brisbane. So it's kind of somewhere between Gold Coast and Brisbane. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely interested, that's for sure. Yes, this event is kid friendly. So there you go. Special activities for kids and everything if you're thinking of bringing the family. So there you go. Lots of stuff in there. It's an alcohol and drug-free event
as well. I think they're trying to do, like, they're going to have the music tuned to like 432 hertz, and they have some pretty interesting artists. So it's going to be good to get some new scenery there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I love 432 hertz. Like, somebody who's, you know, got a few guitars in the background there. The moment I retuned my guitar to 432 hertz, I'm like, oh, why haven't I done this before? Wow, it just feels so right. And all of a sudden, in my mind, I'm like, oh, so that's why I've struggled to sort of tune by ear. I've been tuning the wrong frequency all these years, you know. It's so much easier to tune by ear now.
Oh, really? So you noticed it just by ear? That's interesting. Yeah.
And another good one to do, actually, there is if you type in 432 versus 440, I just found a video on YouTube. I'll see if I can dig it up for a later podcast for people. You know, and I found somebody who actually played like the same riff, 432 and 440, played it down the line and gone, which one do you think's which? You know, or which one resonates with you? And I've gone, okay, I think it was, you know, I don't want to ruin it in case you didn't find the same video, but I've gone, right, it's this one. This is 432, I'm sure of it. This is the frequency that resonates with me, and I was right straight away just from hearing it.
Yeah.
So it just felt right. It feels right. It hears right. And ever since I've changed, everything's just so much better.
Yeah, interesting, because I've tried to look at, like, you know, find stuff on YouTube, like things like that, just to try to, you know, get more familiar with it and really enjoy it. And you can't find much. It's actually quite, you know, a lot of other frequencies are readily available, but 432 seems to be, it's like they really wanted that one off the map, right? Because, you know, heaven forbid we would be in homeostasis and balance and harmony, right? Like,
yeah. I'll have to find that video again. I mean, again, there's actually a shitload of videos on it. You just go 432 versus 440 and punch it in. I just did it off DuckDuckGo, and there is tons of videos. There's so many. You know, pick your poison. You know, there's heaps and heaps of them. So, I mean, you know, I share my screen again. This is, again, 432 versus 440 via DuckDuckGo, and look at all this.
Yeah, so there's
Of
not
course,
much
the first one that comes in, actually, it's a it says comparison. So yeah, there you go. And that's what you want. You want to compare it. Play one way and play one the other way, and what works for you straight away. 432 works for me, and I'll never go back. Here's an interesting picture.
432. Does that mean anything can be just reprogrammed to 432?
Any musical instrument can be tuned to that. So you've just got to set your tuner. So on my phone, for instance, I actually downloaded it's the Roland Boss chromatic tuning app. And that's that. I've actually set that to 432 in the settings. So you go to the settings, and I don't know if you can see that. Trying to get the angle. The second line there. So you got manual above, and then it says, reference pitch is set to 432 hertz.
Nice. I'm not a muso. I used to play a bit of drums, but I'm not much chop these days. But I have musos in my family, so
maybe see it better that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
So that's what and it's a free app you can get on your phone. And you can tune any instrument to it. And again, with even with audio software, if you're using, say, MIDI and keyboards and all that, you can change the frequency and all that stuff too. So yeah. And I mean, if you look into it, I've even seen other musicians, like I believe like symphony orchestras will choose to tune to different frequencies, not necessarily what's called concert pitch 440. There are some that'll do 441. There's others I've heard of doing 437 and all sorts of different hertz. I'm not sure why. Obviously, whoever is conducting that symphony decides that's the one we want to go for. But I think it was Metallica on Ride the Lightning, their second album. The whole album's actually tuned to 444 hertz, which is actually another really nice frequency. Actually, out of all the Metallica albums, I really enjoy that one because it has such a different frequency to it. I'm not sure exactly why they did it, but again, I noticed that as a kid, trying to learn some of the riffs off Ride the Lightning from the guitar book. I'm following along. I'm like, it just doesn't sound right. What's going on? And I started mucking around with the tuner until I got it into 444 hertz, and I tuned it, and all of a sudden everything sit right. I'm like, oh, there it is. So I just figured it out by realizing that it just didn't sound right, until I found the frequency that did work. I'm like, all right, cool. But it's a pain in the ass to constantly have to change your guitar to just a little bit here and a little bit there. It is painful. So, but anyway, that aside, there's lots of different ways to tune. There's no, again, it doesn't have to be a set thing. It's just like an industry standard, But yeah, why?
I was a big fan of Lars. When I started my drum lessons, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be like Lars from Metallica.
But eventually you started listening to Pantera and going, I'd rather be more like Vinnie Paul.
What was that?
You'd rather, but eventually you start listening to more Pantera, and you go, I want to be a little bit more like Vinnie Paul because he's got a really nice fucking drum style too. Actually, I love Tommy Lee's got a fucking really good groovy way of playing too, like the stuff he does in Motley Crue. It's actually really good groovy drum lines, I reckon.
I had to tone it down and go to some, like, I was so angry after COVID. I was like, I have to go to maybe some classical.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah.
No, I know the feeling.
It was a time.
Yeah. It was definitely something we'll be talking about for a long time. I think it's seems like obviously mainstream media and government want to forget about it, but it's burned into people's brains.
Well, it's funny because when I left uni, I was actually in mainstream media. So I started out as a journal, and I won't say what what agency it was, but they were known to be allegedly very impartial. And it's really funny because I look back and I was really young, like I was, 19 or 20, straight out of uni. And it was funny because do you remember during COVID, they had that, they showed all the TV screens of all the, I won't say what operation it was, but it was like, they showed all the TV screens of all the TV presenters reading the same thing simultaneously. That came out and they were like, look at the programming that's coming out through media.
They're all saying the same thing the same way.
And do you know what occurred to me was I hadn't thought about my radio career all those years ago, but then I was like, the fax machine, because we were in this bureau and we had this fax machine. It was like a golden light shone on it. And when the fax went off, everyone was like, the news, like this, and we'd run to the machine and what is our news? And then we would take that news and it's like, go away and find different angles. And then it would be like, but not that angle. But that's a little bit too far. Like maybe just tone that. So it's really interesting because I look back and I'm like, that's how they're all reading from the same songbook. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I used to work for the mainstream too. I was a camera operator for Win News and Channel 9.
Oh, there
So
you go.
yeah, I've seen the inside of it as well, and yeah, it's but it doesn't take much, does it? Like it's amazing how quickly everybody just follows the narrative, and it goes back to that programming scenario in school. Copy from column A into column B, you get your tick and your little smiley sticker, and you're done. And that same mentality is transgressed into so many different elements of society. I mean, I've had so many different jobs, so many different places, and everything operates under the same principle. And everybody's thinking the grass is greener on the other side, or the mainstream media, it must be really cushy over there. No, it sucked. The money was shit. The equipment was barely maintained. The bosses don't give a shit about you anymore in a mainstream media environment than they do in any other shit kicker job you've ever had. There's nothing different.
No, and you're so right about so in my other thing, so when I finished journalism, I became an early years teacher, and I love teaching in the Northern Territory because I got to work with different groups of kids. They called them pointy end kids, right? Troubled kids, and most of the time these kids needed a feed or a hug or something. They were going through their own type of trauma, and as soon as you sorted them out, they're like, all of a sudden, wow, they're not pointy-ended anymore.
Yeah.
But really, when I relocated, it was very difficult for me to stay in the teaching, right? Because I just started to get such a strong sense that it was so wrong. Like trying to, herd these kids. I only did early years, so it was like year 1 to year 3s, but just pushing them through a cattle race, and you're teaching them that they're really not good enough because if they can't, like that whole thing, judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the standardized teaching. And, I came out with so many stories that I was dumb, I wasn't enough. Like, honestly, schooling traumatized me. And then when I went back to study law, I'm getting these good grades. Like I was getting really good grades for my one semester, and I'm like, huh? But it was because I wasn't really confined anymore. I was mature. I came back, and I just say to my kids all the time now, I'm like, as long as you're trying, it's because it's hard because they want to be in that system. But I tell them all the time, what you're going through is damaging. Just know that. Like, it's not natural. It's not healthy, but you're in there. So you just keep an open mind to the fact that, like my son was telling me that he's in year 9, and he's telling me that they had 1, 2, 3, look at me. He told me this like just 2 nights ago. He's like, Mum, they made us line up and do 1, 2, 3, look at me. And I was like, do you think they're getting you ready for conscription? And he just laughed at me, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Like the mind.
What's 1, 2, 3, look at me? Please explain, as Pauline Hanson
It's like trying to get the boys to pay attention, right? Trying to get them to like 1, 2, 3, look at me, like tune in. It's just like I'm sitting there going,
are they that bored in class? Like the teacher's so uninspiring that they need to do this exercise to keep them focused?
I don't know. I offered them to be homeschooled, and they were like, no, but that's
I had the same thing. I offered my kids the same thing. You can go one way or the other. Like shit, if it was me, I would have taken homeschooling in a heartbeat. I absolutely hated the fucking thing. It was shit. I insisted that I homeschool one of my children during grade 6 because I couldn't send him to high school not being able to read and write. Like after all those years of epic failings, it's just like, nah, he's got to come out. I sat down and we worked hard for a year, and we got him up to at least a level where he can get through high school, which I don't think you require great many skills to get through any of the schooling. Basically, you just got to nod, smile, and tick the right boxes. You'll be right. And it's not exactly
it's like
breeding intelligence.
Yeah, the penguins of Madagascar. Smile and wave, boys.
Yeah. Can you read sign language?
Yeah, it's a crazy scenario, and I think when they're in that system, like all I think to myself is, as long as I'm illuminating to them that if they're experiencing, like one of my sons, he does have a problem with authority, and I can't help but love that about him. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, Yay.
It's great so long as they're not using it on you.
Yeah, it's very tough to parent, right? Like it's not easy to but then you know that they're going to need that gumption and they're going to need that spunk about them to really navigate their way through. So yeah, it's an interesting reality to kind of work through. But yeah, the festival is super exciting because I just think there are so many people. Like it's going to be such a collaboration of law and health and music. It's like that kind of stuff really lights up my heart, and just to meet people. And because I don't know, like we all kind of went into this like Zoom life, right, during COVID. And so this is, to me, feels like a real coming together, the first time of a real kind of celebration and a new way of being together. And I think that's the impetus of this particular festival, is that we're breaking down spells, you know, we're breaking down templates, and we're really consciously choosing whatever we want to create moving forward. And everyone has such a key part to play in that, I think, all of our gifts and things that we bring forward. So, yeah.
Heather would like to know where you're from.
Well, I'm in Western Australia now. I'm back to Sound Grouperville. So I'm in south of Perth these days. South of Perth. But yeah, I do miss Queensland. I lived in Kingaroy for a while. So I lived in Kingaroy before I moved to the Territory, and Queensland's great. Queensland, I constantly fantasize about buying somewhere in Mission Beach. I love Cairns, the northern part of Queensland.
Beach, yeah, beautiful.
Oh.
Well, I'm in Townsville, which hence the North Queensland Freedom Network. So, but yeah, beautiful country up here, and you know, hopefully we can maintain that, because I want to put bloody wind farms all up and down the coast now and ruin the countryside. So
they're doing that. I think that's happening in a lot of places too, right? But yeah, I really hope you can, and I'm grateful for everyone fighting the fight, because there's something really like hits you flying into over the Atherton Tablelands. It's like it just gets you in your soul. And I'm not even from there, but coming in there, you see that country and you're like, oh, you know, God's country, really. So I hope you guys can.
Yeah, I'll see what we can do to make it down. That's for sure. So it looks like a lot of people are starting to go to bed, but the numbers are going up, but people are leaving in the comments. It's interesting. Anyway, that's the way we roll. In Ingham, after 12 years in Townsville, there you go. So I hope to see you at the Know Your Rights seminar in a couple of weeks then, eh? You're just up the road in Ingham. It's only an hour and 20 minutes, you know. That's like moving from one suburb to the other in the cities.
Yeah, I've been through Ingham. I did quite a lot of touring through there. It's been a long time, but yeah.
They got the pub with the original pub with no beer. The old Slim Dusty. Yeah. It's the original pubs there.
I have a feeling my ex-husband might have performed there. He's a Queensland-based country music singer. So I did a big stint touring back in the day. Yeah. Roadie. I was a roadie. What do they call them? A roadie?
Yeah, roadie. Oh, groupie. Groupie's another word, but you probably want to be more the roadie than the groupie, though, I think.
Well, I was married.
Depends on your point of view.
We were married, so I think I graduated past groupie stage, but I'll go with roadie.
Yeah, well, it depends. If you were smashed with your legs out the back, you were the groupie. If you're carrying the gear, you were the roadie.
I was carrying the gear.
There you go. You were a roadie. All right, I'm glad we cleared that up.
Oh dear.
No worries. And yeah, big sips. That's one of the things. Like when I was a wannabe rock and roll star, you know, sips was my thing. So I'll fill you in on how it worked, you know. And fundamentally, I'd get up on stage as, you know, the biggest piss wreck you'd find, guitar in hand, and, you know, introduce ourselves as Bogan Nation. And, you know, provided I drink with other people, I'm not an alcoholic. So I want to make sure all my friends out here are drinking with me. And this is how it rolls. I call out sips, and then you scream sips back at me, and then we all have a drink together, and I'm no longer an alcoholic. So sips.
Aussie culture, gotta love it. It's just like, it's just based on a pure foundation of peer pressure. That's it. We all feel comfortable together.
That's it. And it was a different story every time. Like and I think that was a unique rendition, perhaps. You know, like I may have drawn upon it from 15, 20 odd years ago. I don't know. Like I just make it up every time. It just works. You know, whatever's going. You know, there were odd occasions where I had to do like alcohol-free venues. I'm like, I'm not really sure how this is going to work, but we're going to try it with water today because of the restrictions applied. You know, that yeah.
I just say to people like, look, I really just need you to know that I don't have much of a personality unless I'm drinking. So if it's weird, like that's kind of how people, like that's kind of what the culture gets you to. It's like, oh, she's not drinking. That's what's wrong with her.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, sorry, I should have mentioned, like, you bring a bottle of wine or something when you come on the show. Sorry, I neglected to mention that earlier. It's okay. You'll know for next time. It's all right.
I am actually, I don't drink anymore just to make it
Oh,
super
really?
weird now. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So you're weird all the time.
I'm weird all the time. I'm awkward and weird and all the time. And it just, I'm just trying to get more comfortable with it. So,
Fair enough.
I think in the Northern Territory, right? The Northern Territory, there's a bit of a culture there. Territory time and nothing like wine time in the Territory. So, yeah.
That's always some sort of a wine time. So, how long's your presentation at the festival?
I think it will be about an hour is the spot. So I'll probably get up there with Dave and just so Dave can keep me on track. Dave's going to just jump up there with me. And I always tell people, like, I'm used to sitting in four walls with a microphone. So this is why I wear my scarf, right? It's cold here, but I also get super red and flushed. And every time my body has an emotion, everyone sees. And I'm worried that people will think I'm going to asphyxiate or something. Oh, she's going purple. Like, no, I'm just having an emotion. So I'm like, Dave will probably be up there with me and he'll help me guide the conversation. And we can have a bit of a yarn because, he's really good at pulling out bits of information that people are looking for. Sometimes when, you're telling your piece, you don't really know the parts that people are wanting to know. And so I'm excited to do that with him and just to listen to everybody because after doing this program I came in as a volunteer actually for Empower. So Cal Washington's one of the speakers that's coming over from the US. So I do a bit of volunteer for his organization, so it'd be pretty cool to meet some people like that and hear what they've got to say. And there's a lot to look forward to. I think there's different spots, but I said to Dave, like an hour's a long time. I was like, I can talk under the marbles, but it's kind of a long time when you're up on a stage. So it'll be fun. I'm sure everyone will be kind. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different experience. I think it's easier to sit here in these four walls, and it's kind of like we're just having a Zoom conversation, and the fact that there's 500 other people watching right now, you just kind of put that in the back of your mind, just like, I mean, there's the reminder every now and then when we click on a comment and I see people actually interacting, but it's interesting the amount of people that actually comment versus that number that I'm seeing there, and that's just one number. There's actually other channels which would probably add up to a lot more than over 500. So just to give you a bit so imagine there's that 500 people out there just to warm you up for the event. You've already been doing it for an hour, like, pretty much.
I know.
So there you go. We've nutted it out. It's sorted. We can know you're capable. So
and then people say, just imagine them naked. I'm like, 500 people naked. Like, no.
It's an orgy.
Heather mentioned in the comments, Heather said someone in her family had social anxiety. She asked if I have German in me. It's funny because I think I'm like a suburban terrier, so I think way back there is actually some German. Yeah. Maybe that's where it comes from, but
Quite possibly. Could be Irish, Viking, Germanic people. I know there's definitely a little bit of that in me. So, I find the bit of Dutch courage sorts that out, and I think there's some of that in there too. I'm a bit of a mongrel when it comes down to the genetic bloodline. So,
aren't we all?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think we've had a pretty successful yarn, and I hope we've inspired the people to want to go down to the Living Free festival. It's coming up on the 23rd through to the 25th of August at Pillar Valley in New South Wales, where you can see Skye amongst a great many other people if you're keen. By all means, I'm seriously considering it myself. The only reason I wouldn't do it is if I cannot actually find the time. I mean, my good friend Darren's going to be there, and I I know
Yeah.
Tom and Dave, we've met before, and I've been looking forward to meeting Nick, actually. I've been seeing his videos. I've met Dale before, so it's kind of like I know a lot of people there anyway. I feel like it's kind of like a gathering of my friends, and I won't be there. I think I'm going to have to try and make a way there.
You're just going to have to get there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll find a
I'm
way.
bringing my 2 sons over, so that will be exciting. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be really good.
Awesome. Is there anything you'd like to say about yourself or the event before we part ways?
No, I just I've had a really fun time. This has been so enjoyable. So thanks for having me, and I've actually really needed a good laugh. So yeah, really, really enjoyable. And yeah, I was really grateful to hear the conversations coming in, because I tend to get a little bit stuck in my own thing, and so to hear people at all the projects that everyone's doing, like, it's just such a critical and amazing time to be alive. And so I'm in awe of everybody that's kind of even in this realm, and anyone that I can connect with at that festival, I'm really grateful and excited for that. But either way, I really hope to keep across your community and what you guys are doing, because it's all of it's needed, is what I think. We all need to do our part, and then the big things shift, right? So yeah, kudos.
That's it. Everybody's got to do their bit. And as I say at the end of every show, you go and chuck on your Michael Jackson, have a listen to the man in the mirror, then go and look at the man or woman in the mirror and ask yourself, what can I do? How can I be a part of the solution? Get in there and do your bit, even if it's just turning up to a festival like this and meeting awesome people. And, that's how I met Tom and Dave in the first place, was turning up to a festival up here in North Queensland, a year ago. It was great. I met Dale as well, and a whole bunch of other people, and it was really good because there's a lot of people that had, sort of seen the podcast and whatnot. And it was really nice to connect with those people who may not comment, but, I really like what you're doing, and this is how I got onto it. And it's good to get that user feedback and that personal interaction. So these kind of events really are priceless. So it'll never be like going to Canberra. I don't know if you went, but Canberra was just huge, and it was an amazing experience. To
I've
be
got a
so
good
many
mate
people.
here in WA. I've got a good mate here in WA. I'm a big fan of him. He's got some really interesting yarns about getting stuck at the border coming back from Canberra. So he was in that convoy, and he's such a champion. And he talks about, going all the way. They drove all the way over there, and then he got stuck at the border on the way back. And there's a whole story with that. And yeah, so it sounded like I watched it. Obviously, I watched anything I could on it at the time. But yeah, it was pretty insane, right?
Yeah.
What was happening in that space, and everyone that participated in that. So.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and I think these festivals are the next best thing, really. Get out there, meet your tribe, meet your people. So
yeah, because that's
awesome.
the medicine, right? It's the medicine. Is the coming together in bringing in the joy where we can, because there's a lot of stuff we're against, but we've got to bring in that joy. Is what I'm feeling for myself. Tonight's been awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you heaps for coming on. And anytime you feel the need to pop on and share your things with the people of North Queensland, and albeit the world, because I think very early in the piece we had somebody saying they were from the Netherlands, and there's another lady who pops in from Scotland, quite regularly. So the podcast is getting amazing reach, which is really good. And once we finish up, I'll see if I can put you in touch with Robin. I don't know if you've met Robin from Courage is the Cure. She's in Western Australia. She might be able to hook you up and maybe get you a little bit more coverage as to the things you're doing there locally.
Just keen, I feel a bit isolated here. I don't know what Robin's experience is, because all the action's over there, and everyone thinks that WA is the butthole of the planet, which it kind of is in some sense.
It's just so far away, as Tucker Carlson was saying. It's so far away.
We have a whole thing like Perth is okay, right? And it's just, we're really trying to convince ourselves that we're doing good. But having lived over there, I really see how great it was to be connected. And I do feel isolated at times, because we are a way away. So I'm down for connecting with anyone.
And there you go. Our friend Susan just popped in the comments there. Obviously my team in the background grabbed a hold of. There it is. Thanks for the mention, Batty. Much appreciated. Much love from Scotland. So there you go.
Wow.
I think she warms up and pretends that she's in North Queensland, you know, living all the way in Scotland. She's always giving us the weather update of how bloody cold it is there. I imagine it's summertime in Scotland, and I have a feeling me sitting here in a jumper in North Queensland when it's 25 degrees outside might be a bit of an insult. I'm sorry, Susan. I don't mean to insult you, but yeah, it's cold by my standards. Anyway, I think we better wrap this one up. It has been very nice talking to you. Thanks again, Skye, and I hope you have a great time at the festival. Hope to see you there. I'll see what I can do to get there.
Hope to see you too. Thanks, guys. See ya.
No worries. See you later. So that's the show today, boys and girls. I hope you've enjoyed everything. It was an interesting dynamic having so many different guests and things moving in and out. Something I'm going to try a little bit more often because, yeah, the guests are popping up a lot more frequently these days. By all means, you know, jump into the link tree and find all the other places you can find us. We've set up a Facebook backup page too in case our Facebook page gets taken down. It's like one of our other Facebook pages didn't work today. But anyway, I'll sort that out another day. Thanks heaps for watching. Jump on the Indigenous Doco GoFundMe page if you can, because that's a work in progress, but we need funding. It's going to take me a good 2 weeks to put that together easy. Consider becoming a Patreon like the awesome people who already have, and thanks heaps to the new people who have come on. You got anything you want to contact me for some way, shape or form, any members of the public, you know, particularly, you know, obviously North Queenslanders want to get more North Queensland issues going. If you know of something that's happening, council screwing you over, local government screwing you over, a shitty business is doing dodgy things that people need to be aware of, drop us a line. Let's talk about it, you know. Or even if there's good businesses doing good things and you want to support them, bloody oath, come on board. You know, if you're a business out there and you'd like to support the network, and we'd love to support you because you're a fan, drop me a line. So anyway, till next time, same bat channel next week, I'm reckoning. I reckon I might have something for you. Well, actually, I won't be able to do something Sunday. I've got to work again. Sorry. So next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Hope you've all thoroughly enjoyed this because I've enjoyed bringing it to you. So till next time, have a good one.